Hello and welcome back to another episode of James Press Start. This is just a little video series where I give just kind of my initial impressions of games that I've recently played, and today we're looking at Darksiders III. I haven't played any of the Darksiders games. From what I understand is they're kind of more mature versions of The Legend of Zelda. So far this game has been a little bit of kind of light platforming, a lot of hacking and slashing, and I'll be honest, my initial impressions weren't super hot. I did find the game a little repetitive. But as I kind of got out of the initial starting zone, and I started to encounter some different enemies and see some different environments, it kind of opened up my eyes to hopefully what the rest of this game will be. And it kind of actually has me curious to go back and try the older Darksiders games, because again, from what I've heard, this is kind of the worst game out of the series. So if I'm enjoying the worst game out of the series, then it might be worth revisiting some of the older games. So, like I mentioned, this is available on Xbox Games Pass for PC as well as Xbox. I'm playing the PC version. I haven't really run into many kind of performance issues. I have a pretty modest gaming setup on my PC. It's Ryzen 5 2600, 8 gigs of RAM, and a RX 570 4 gig. I think that's the card that I have. I'm able to run it at 1080p with settings set to Epic. I would, however, recommend playing with a controller. I'm doing okay on mouse and keyboard, but I think this game would be a lot more enjoyable with a controller. I generally find third-person games to be better, more fluid with a controller, but that's kind of a personal preference. So yeah, there's a lot of this, a lot of hacking and slashing. I'm playing on easy just because I wasn't really sure what to think of this game or if I would even like it. So I'd probably recommend just kind of normal difficulty. I've run into some like minor little kind of puzzle solving. For instance, these bugs here seem to be attracted to this little kind of lava ooze stuff, and you can then throw them to break through those spider webs, which allow you to get to this area. There was no tutorial really of saying that you needed to do that, so it doesn't really hold your hand in a sense. There's no like real map or kind of arrows pointing you into a certain direction.
Is literally in your name.
It's kind of a big open hub area that kind of breaks off into these smaller areas that I believe it's going to be like a series of boss fights. Again, I'm only like an hour into it, so I could have it completely wrong. I will say I don't really enjoy the character of this game. She's a little one-note, very angry, not very likable, not relatable at all. She kind of reminds me of Kratos from God of War, at least from the original games, not the latest, where Kratos was a very one-note character, and I didn't really enjoy his character other than, like, he's kind of a cool badass, but the story I have honestly been skipping through. I do not find it that interesting. There is kind of a dodge mechanic where if you time it right, action will slow down and you can get kind of some good hits in for maximum damage. And again, I think playing on a controller would be a way smoother experience than mouse and keyboard, but that's up to your personal preference, I guess. So with that said, I want to kind of keep these videos a little bit shorter. So I will probably continue to explore playing this game. I think it's probably not worth like a full price purchase, but if you can get it on sale, or if you belong to Games Pass, I think it's worth the download, just to try it out, because I've had at least an hour's worth of fun with it. Before I leave, there is some minor, like, leveling up system. So every enemy that you defeat, you get their soul, and then these souls can be traded in to upgrade your character, as well as give you kind of ability points that you can then use to spend, which I will show you here shortly. If we back out. So now I have 2 points to kind of spend on, say, strength and arcane. It also looks like you'll probably have different weapons, different consumables, but it doesn't look like it's too over the top with its kind of items. And there's giant enemy crabs, which is an old PlayStation 3 E3 reference, which is cool. Games with giant crabs is cool. So with that said, I will stop this video because I want to keep these a little bit shorter. So I think it gives my recommendation at least to try out. I wouldn't spend a ton of money on it, and it definitely has me interested in looking at the prior games of the series, because if I'm enjoying this after an hour of playing and the other games are better, then maybe it's worth looking into those. So with that said, thank you for watching. Please check out our video game podcast at Second Player Press Starts, where my friend Darren and I do deeper dives into video games on that, and you can listen to that on anywhere you can find podcasts. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and good night.